How's it going, everybody? Beautiful people of Instagram. This is Jose Trujillo, world's greatest living artist. And today is Mindset Monday. I apologize for not doing this earlier, but it's just the way it is. I was trying to get my mindset right, too. So yeah, guys. Today I want to talk to you guys about keeping your hustle right, keeping your mindset right. You know, one of the things that I've learned here with my wife actually helped me realize this, because I'm all about muscle. I'm all about let's do it, let's do. But there's a point, there's a marriage you have to do, and that is your mindset. If you don't have your mindset right, you could be doing a lot, but you're spinning your wheels. You're only spinning. And this is something that I've learned. It's taking me some time. Maybe it shouldn't, whatever. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but it did. So I'm here. And I want to share this with you guys. Look, guys, one of the biggest stoppers that I call these suppressors, right? One of the biggest suppressor stoppers, things that slow you down. Perhaps you're an artist and you want to create artwork, you want to create a body of work, you want to get into the galleries, you want to, whatever you want to do, right? You have this idea. The problem is that you're trying to match it. You're trying to match your idea in your mind of what the outcome is. So we don't set intentions and then work towards them. What we do is we set intentions and then we cling to what is exactly supposed to look like. And my talk today, guys, is about perfectionism. Is your perfectionism slowing you down? Is your perfectionism like suppressing your productivity? There's countless talks on anywhere you go. YouTube, there's books, there's this, there's that, and they're all about perfectionism. One of the things that I don't like, that some people talk about perfectionism, is that they imply that you shouldn't strive for more, that you shouldn't want more out of life, that you shouldn't, that, oh, you're setting unrealistic expectations or unrealistic, not expectations, that's not the right word, because that's true. You set unrealistic expectations, but unrealistic goals, right? Unrealistic goals. I believe that setting unrealistic goals is a very healthy way of going after your potential, right? Like shooting for the moon. I think where it's wrong is how you tend to get there, or if you don't get there, right, you suffer. That's where the problem is. Many of us put all these suppressors, all these things. For example, you say, I want to, this happened to me. This happened to me recently, and this is one of the things that I've been working on, okay? I want to create a body of work, right? I want to share my artwork with the world. Okay, but it has to be done in this time, right? This time frame, and it has to be done in this specific style of work, and it has to be done like every time that I paint it, it has to be how I operate at my max level, right? At my optimal level. And my optimal level, I'm not always hitting my optimal level. That's like when I'm flying. I'm not always flying, right? I'm not always in the greatest state, in the flow state. I'm not always there. So why do I set that expectation to even get started? Like if I'm not in flow, I won't even get started. You know, I don't know if it happens to you guys, but it has happened to me a lot. If I'm not in the state of flow, why even bother with it? Because if yesterday or the day before yesterday or a week ago, I was experiencing flow, I was like, yeah, I'm moving, you know, creating my artwork and this and that. And if today I'm going to start creating artwork and I am not in that state, or I'm not as good as I was a week ago or a month ago, I wasn't, you know, doing this, whatever it is that you're doing, right? If I'm not on par with that, if I'm not that good, then I'm just not going to even attempt to do it. Or I'm going to have a hard time to do it. Or my expectation is that it needs to be, that's the bar. If I'm not operating at that bar, with that level of realism, maybe you create realism in your artwork, or with that level of expression, right? Maybe you're an expressive artist, maybe you're an abstract artist, I don't know. Maybe you're a photographer. You know, if I can't find that lighting, maybe the time changed and now it's winter, right? Of course. And now the light changed outside and you're a photographer. And if you don't find that light, then you're like, oh man, I'm having such a hard time. You are being a perfectionist. I used to think that I was not a perfectionist, because many of you that follow my artwork, you guys know the type of painting that I do, right? So I used to tell myself, oh man, I'm not a perfectionist because my work is very expressive. My work is actually very abstract and in by nature, no, and in nature, whatever. Uh, and my brush stroke is very loose. So of course I am not a perfectionist, right? And besides, perfectionist people really they care a lot about everything, right? They care a lot about like I don't care about like having my hands dirty or having paint on my jacket or I don't know. They super organize everything. Their studios should be very organized. My studio is not organized, so I'm not a perfectionist. My studio is not very clean. You know, it's not well. It's clean, but it's not. It's messy, right? There's boxes, and I have to constantly be moving stuff around. So I must not be a perfectionist. Maybe a perfectionist is someone who never gets to doing anything. That's what I used to think. I used to think maybe a perfectionist is someone who, for example, this is what happened to me, right? I'm gonna create a painting. I don't think about it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go stretch a large canvas, or I'm gonna have a few large canvases stretch, and I'm gonna create some artwork. I don't really think about it, so I don't think of myself as a perfectionist. I was wrong. Perfectionism, I feel like it hits you in different levels. I wasn't being a perfectionist in comparison to many other artists who won't even get started, right? Who may not even pick up a brush, or who feel like they had a bad day, right? I'm not a perfectionist necessarily in that sense, but I'm a huge perfectionist. I found this about myself when it comes to needing to meet certain expectations of myself, right? And if the expectations are not met, again, it's the same thing. It's just dressed in a different way, right? I was fooling myself thinking I wasn't acting as a perfectionist. So I needed to be operating at a certain speed, at a certain momentum, right? In order for me to be okay with myself and accept my work, right? Maybe you're an abstract painter and you're like, I'm not a perfectionist. I am an abstract painter. I paint from a more intuitive way. I'm more open. I'm not a perfectionist. You may be wrong. You may have to do an audit on yourself, an audit on your behavior. Not who you are, because who you are is perfect. Your behavior. The behavior is the stuff that we do that may not be on par with what we want, right? I mean, you may have to do a little audit on yourself and realize and see, I don't know, maybe you're not. But see if you have these stoppers, these things, right, that have that mindset in a negative place. Where maybe you're looking up to, but let's put this in an example, right? Maybe you're an abstract painter who looks up to, I don't know, Jackson Pollock or some other abstract artist, whatever, just for the sake of the argument here, the example. And your work is you're like, I'm an abstract painter, but you don't get to get to your abstract work because you don't have a problem painting it. You may have a problem showing it. You may have a problem saying, oh man, people are going to judge me or this or that, and I want it to look great. I don't have a problem with the work. Maybe I have a problem with the presentation of the work. Maybe I have a problem with where I show it. Maybe you have a problem of sharing it with, local galleries or whatever, and you don't have a problem creating the work. You're not a perfectionist at all in that manner, But the conditions of how you show it matter so much that you have piles of work, maybe, I don't know. I'm just taking a wild guess here. You have piles of work in your studio and haven't gotten to take the photos of them because, oh man, I don't have a professional photographer friend who takes the photos. I'm not a professional photographer, so I don't want to ruin. I don't want to take my photos with my phone. That's stupid, silly. The light is off and the monitor's on the light. Can you guys hear what I'm talking about? What do you think, honey? My wife is here. Oh.
Honey, I'm sorry, I walked out of the room.
Oh, okay. And she walked out.
I'm sorry, we're having we're trying to get our internet to fire up.
So, what I'm telling them is that perfectionism seems to be hitting people in different ways.
Right.
And while you may not be a perfectionist on how you create your artwork, you may be a perfectionist on how you show it. You may be a perfectionist on how you sell it. Maybe you're like, if I don't sell it at this price, I'm not letting it go.
You may be a perfectionist in how it will make you look to try to sell it.
To try to sell it. Yeah. You may think, I don't want to be a sellout.
it creeps in so many different ways.
Any way possible. This perfectionism, one of my mentors says perfectionism is procrastination. But really, they're suppressors. Luis G. Chong says, I hear you. Awesome, man. So, they're suppressors. They come in different forms. They might be...
They create unnecessary stress.
You may be spinning your wheels in a hamster wheel. You may be running really hard and really fast. This happened to me a couple of years ago, where I was like, man, I'm running so fast and so hard, and I'm trying to hustle, right? The word, I'm trying to hustle. But really, you're not hustling. What you're doing is you're creating unnecessary work, as my wife just pointed out right now. You're creating all kinds of unnecessary things that will not advance your productivity and will not advance your career, will not advance your sales. Maybe you're not trying to sell, will not advance you showing your work in a gallery or getting that licensing gig that you may be waiting for, trying to get. I don't know, maybe you want to have your prints on Target, or you want to have your artwork in coffee mugs or whatever. I don't know what your deal is, right? You may be wanting to be the next artist who shows at the Met or at the Whitney Museum, somewhere in New York. I don't know. Maybe that's your thing. But you must find a way to accept the very step you're taking. Maybe you thought I was going to say you have to find a way to remove the perfectionism. It's not even the right way of approaching it. Because then now you're trying to, this happened to me, okay? Now you're trying to remove the perfectionism. And now you're like, man, if I just remove the perfectionism, maybe thinking that way is perfectionism in itself, right? Oh, I have to fix something. If I just fix something, I know that I can operate at a higher vibration. I know that I can be a better artist. I know that I can operate, I don't know, like Picasso. I see myself like someone that can operate like that, like de Kooning. I see myself as someone that can operate that way. But maybe in trying to just bear with me right now, okay? In trying to say that something is wrong, that's the perfectionism. And trying to say, I'm not good enough. I'm not, if I could just remove the weight. And it's okay to acknowledge it. It's just not okay to keep saying it. It's not okay to keep putting it on. It's okay to acknowledge and say, you know what? I have some suppressors. I know I have certain suppressors. But the way out is to accept the very moment that you're doing things. Like however it looks. Let's say that you're a weightlifter. You're not going to wait till you have the right weights. Till you have, let's say you have to, you can't skip weightlifting today. You're a weightlifter, right? You're not going to wait. You're going to get 2 buckets of water and you're going to lift weights with 2 buckets of water, or you're going to drop down and it doesn't matter if you're wearing your clothes from your work. You can't skip it. So you're going to make it work. Right? You're going to do some pull-ups outside in a bar, some, I don't know, whatever. You're going to do whatever, but you're going to make it work because you have a commitment to doing that. And perfectionism is not going to, if it hasn't stopped you from having the body that you desire where you are, it's not going to stop you today, right? You're not going to be a professional weightlifter. Is going to be like, oh man, I don't have the gear, I don't have the shoes on, I'm going to have to skip it today. I am sure that a mediocre weightlifter is going to be like, today is not it. But I'm sure that Arnold didn't have those days. I am more than sure that Arnold was like the Terminator, right? I'm sure that Arnold was like, oh, I don't have anything? Oh, okay, get on my back. I'm going to do some push-ups with you on my back. A friend or whatever said it. I don't know, whatever. But they make it work regardless of the conditions, right? Regardless of the conditions. Kelly says, this is a great point because many times people will look at this as fear. But maybe it's just the perfectionism. Yeah, well, in reality, perfectionism is that we fear something, right? We either fear... We're always fearing something. We fear how others look at us. We fear how us. That's probably the main one. How others perceive us, because we, and whether this applies to you or not, I don't know. But as human beings, we were raised thinking we were not good enough, right? For one reason or another. Maybe a parent, maybe someone who maybe wasn't a parent, whatever. But someone older expressed to us that we were not good enough. right? That we needed to perform better, that we needed to be more polite, that maybe we need to be more concise of the way we talk, that we needed to, that if you played an instrument, you didn't play it good enough. You had to practice more, and you don't meet it. You don't meet the expectation, right? Someone held you hostage, in other words, or a group of people, or society, maybe your culture, maybe your religion. Someone held you hostage to telling you, to convincing you, someone or many, right, that you did not meet the bar. So now we walk around like this. We walk around, I can't touch that. No, I can't do that. Why? Because it's not ready. It's not ready. It needs to be cooked. It's not ready. I'm not good enough yet. It's not good enough yet. That's why you have so many great artists, talented artists, who are painting in their home and cannot, for the love of God, cannot find themselves creating vast amounts of work. They cannot find themselves creating, they cannot be prolific, right? Because one trait that we see over and over with great artists, and I'm not talking about 16th century, 15th century artists, talk about artists in the past century and now, is that they are prolific. They create work, right? They make it a point to every day create work. And even artists back in the day, but there were some exceptions back in the day. But now we know that, right? That artists that are serious create work. And so we walk around like this. I can't create it. No, I can't. There's so many great artists in the studios who cannot show work, right? I used to have friends like this. They're like, I can't show my work because I don't, it's not ready. I haven't copyrighted yet. It's not copyrighted. I don't want someone to steal it. It's like, what? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, get it out. Probably the stuff that you're doing, not probably, most than likely, it's not even your good stuff yet. It's not even your good stuff in the sense of where you see yourself. You maybe just getting started. Get it out. Sell it. I don't know. Push it out into the market. Show it, sell it, give it away, get it out. It's outflow, right? But we are conditioned to stop. We're conditioned to stop. Society, religion, whatever, political views, whatever it is, all sorts of things, right? We've been held hostage. Look, you're good, you're just not good enough. Maybe your siblings told you, you're good, you're just not good enough. Maybe your mom, your dad told you. This is not because they were trying to hurt you deliberately. This is because their lack of awareness. There wasn't enough awareness to bring you up, right? Because no one gives what they don't have. If they don't have enough love, they're not going to give you enough love. Come on, let's put the cards on the table, right? No one gives you what they don't have. If mom or dad didn't have enough love for themselves, they are not going to give it to you. They did not give it to you enough. Maybe your siblings, maybe your brothers. I don't know. Maybe your teachers. If they didn't feel enough, why would they give you? They can't give something that is not overflowing. You can only give something that is overflowing, right? You have enough of compassion, you give it. You don't have enough, you don't even have compassion for yourself, there's no way in hell you're going to give it, right? Because there's not even enough for you, right? So, let me take some steps back. So, the mindset that we carry, for the most part, and this is, I believe this is true to many, many, many artists, is I am not good enough somewhere, right? And I don't think it's just artists, but this is about art, so I'm going to talk about artists. Is I am not good enough somewhere. My work may be good, my presentation is horrible. I'm a great artist, I'm just not a good salesman, right? Like, I'm not a salesman, so I can't talk about my artwork. Like, then who will, right? Who will? I can show my work, but I don't know anything about business. So that's why I'm stuck, because I don't know anything about business. So unless I find someone who's really good at marketing and really good at selling, then I'll get my work out into the market. But in the meantime, I'm just going to, not worry about that because I'm not good at sales or I'm not good at business. That's a horrible mistake. It's a huge mistake. It's better to suck at it and show your work. And do some bad deals in the beginning, a few hundred maybe bad deals, till you get the hang of it, till you get the hang of it and you're like, oh, okay, now I know what to charge. It's better to do that than to wait and say, well, I'm going to wait till I get the right rep, someone who's going to rep me, someone who's going to push my artwork into the galleries or into the marketplace or whatever, some platform. Or this is another thing. I'm really great. Maybe you're more advanced. Maybe you're not beginning. You're intermediate. I have something for you too. Maybe you're really good and you're like, oh man, I'm flowing. My stuff is good. But you know what? I don't have a mailing list. Oh, I don't have a mailing list, you know? So I'm not going to do anything until I get that mailing list. I don't have a mailing list. I don't have a group of an audience, right? A group of people that are going to listen to me and that are going to cheer me and that maybe, hopefully, are going to buy from me sometime. So if I don't have a mailing list or an audience on Instagram, I don't have 100K, 1 million followers. If I don't have that, there's no point. There's just no point. Why bother with it? That's perfectionism. That is stopping you before you even take... You're not even at liftoff yet. You know, it's like an airplane. You're in an airplane and you're worried about the carpet rather than the wings, right? Rather than the engine, right? You're worried about the carpet colors. You're worried about the colors of the size of the window, right? You're worried about, I don't know, how many seats there are in the airplane. You're worried about all these things that have absolutely nothing, minuscule, minutia. Instead of looking at the big picture, we need this airplane to take off. We need this airplane to lift off. You know, I need this artwork in a gallery. I need this artwork seen. You see what I mean? How different it is, as opposed to, yes, I want it seen, but here are the conditions, okay? The artwork has to be so-and-so size, and you only paint like this, but you're putting these conditions that they have to be this huge, right? Or vice versa, right? And the frames have to be so-and-so, and each frame is going to cost me $400, so I don't know where I'm going to get 10 frames for the exhibit, right? I don't know where I'm going to get that money. So in the meantime, I'm going to wait. And, you know, and all these compressors, you are being held hostage by this. And you might not realize it yet. And this is what I'm sharing with you guys, because I know I've been held hostage by my own mind, by my own suppressors. I'm good, but I'm not good enough for myself. You may be trying. Here's another thing. You may be trying to please yourself. Yeah, I don't know if you ever thought about this one. You may be trying to please yourself with your artwork. If you are creating artwork, you may be trying to please yourself. This is something for me is a revolutionary way of seeing myself and my work. For me, right? Revolutionary for me, because I never thought about it that way. See, when you're trying to please yourself only, you're being extremely selfish. You're not being true to yourself. You're being selfish. You may be being very selfish in a negative way, not in the good way of survival, selfish type of way. But you may be selfish in the sense that, oh, if I don't please myself the way it looks, nobody sees it. Nobody will have a chance of seeing it. I don't want anybody to see it. As a matter of fact, I've heard so many artists, because they read somewhere, because Monet was kind of stupid too. Monet used to burn his paintings, you know. Oh, they're not on par. Some people read that. Monet, other things that people didn't know about Monet. Monet had attitude problems. Monet was a screamer. He used to scream around his house all the time. He had some real issues. And I want to paint like him. I just don't want his shitty attitude, you know. I would love to paint like that. That would be nice to be, oh, people consider me like Monet, but I don't want to have that shitty attitude. So he had some stuff that wasn't worked out yet. And some people look up to that and say, oh, he burned his paintings that were not to a certain standard. I'm going to also destroy my painting. I'm going to paint over them because they're not good enough. They're not good enough for who? They're not good enough for your mind. Your mind is always trying to keep you hostage. It's always doing that because it's trying to protect you. So anyways, guys, I know I went on a long rant here today. But I wanted to bring you as much value as possible. For those of you who are, maybe you're a writer, I don't know, and you're stuck in the same chapter. You're not stuck in the same chapter because you can't write the book. You don't have artist block or writer's block because you can't write. That's not it. You're trying to think how you're going to please others and yourself. And that is the problem. You're trying to please. You're trying to please. And a true artist, I believe, is not trying to please anyone, not even himself or herself. This is why I believe when Degas, painter Degas, said, well, what other one, right? He said, I'm only doing good when I don't know what I'm doing. See, he wasn't trying to trust. He wasn't trying to, not to trust. He wasn't trying to please himself. He says, I only do good things when I don't know what I'm doing. And now I understand what Picasso said. When I don't have, a color, I paint with B. I think he was talking about blue and red. When I don't have one color, I'll use another one, right? Many people take this back to the pink and the blue periods. But I don't believe it's that. Picasso was extremely prolific. I see Picasso as a high-performance athlete. That's the way I see it. And what I'm thinking what I'm not thinking, I am sure based on my experience. He was saying, look, I don't get caught up on things. If I don't have one color, I'll use another one. But I'll get it done, right? But I'll get it done, which is the most important thing. We create artwork to get it done. Like, we need to remove that BS. I hear a lot of artists saying, my work is never done. When I'm creating artwork...
Oh, that's here.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much. And my dog stopped barking because my handyman's here. Take care, guys. And I will talk to you soon. Adios.